Good morning, or should I say afternoon. Cold, ugly day in SA. Been raining off and on, and anyway, I had a job I had to finish, and had an old lady, or older lady, back into my trailer, bust my tail light, brand new trailer, or fairly new to me anyway. Shitty day, as far as that goes. Anyway, I was listening to talk radio. I like to listen to a lot of talk radio, sports radio, and whatnot. And they're talking about that Henry Ruggs, that guy that played for the Raiders. And guy was drinking twice the legal limit and wrecked his Corvette into a young gal and killed her. Hurt himself, hurt his girlfriend, whatnot. When the first story first broke, the vitriol and the anger and the whatever that was shown towards him was just ugly. But you got to know there's more to the story than just what he did. I mean, the guy's 22 years old. He's a young man. Comes from a not the greatest of backgrounds, from what I understand. I'm not giving him excuses, but I kind of knew that the news people would change their tune a little bit as time passed. Well, it's been a day or two now, and now listening to them on the radio, their tune has changed a little bit. Not to mention the quarterback for the Raiders reached out and said that he was going to love the guy. The guy needs love right now because he's going through a lot of stuff. Not that he's condoning what he did, but it's just an ugly situation all the way around. People make mistakes. Anyway, that said, I couldn't help but think, how often do we make our mind up on something initially and then change? Or do we change? How much of our thought process is based on the reality of a situation, or just the way we were raised politically or religiously or morally? And how much of it is based on the actual facts of the time? And I'll tell you why I bring that up. I posted the other day, or a friend of mine posted something about the COVID vaccine and whatever, and I made a comment on it, and other people made comments back and forth, and my viewpoint on that has changed a lot. Do I believe in vaccines? I think, yeah, I do. I think that over the history of our time, vaccines have been a good thing. Do I believe in this vaccine? Not so much. And not because I don't think it can be effective. I don't think it's doing what they said that it was going to do. And they said that it had a 90-some% rate of stopping the virus and yada yada. Now they know that that's a bunch of bull. They won't say exactly what the percentage is, but people still get sick. You can still pass it on after you've been fully vaccinated, and you can still die. That's just the facts. Does that mean that I'm against it completely? No. To each his own. Everybody can make their own decisions. I know for at the moment right now, I've made mine. I don't want to take it right now. I mentioned this before. Colin Powell died recently, and he was fully vaccinated. My dad died the day after he got the second shot. So my thing is, I just want to wait. I want to be a little patient. I want to let things work themselves out. These last 2-3 weeks, I've had a lot of experience with doctors. And I have anyway, just because of what happened with my eye and whatnot. And I've got to see that they're human beings just like anybody else. They're not geniuses. Just because they got a degree or they work as a doctor does not mean they know everything. And I don't care if you're an immunologist like Dr. Fauci. We've all seen him on display publicly. And he's changed his tune several times. I do believe a lot has to do with finances. And I'll tell you why I think that. Today, or here a couple weeks ago, I had to do some stuff at the doctor's. And I went to multiple doctors. At least 3. Maybe, ultimately ended up being 4 doctors. And they all did the same thing. Same thing. Ran me through the same crap that they knew the last guy went through, the yada yada, and they'll give you their reasoning. Well, it's because we got to cover ourselves and yada yada, and then they still handed me off somewhere else down the line, and I had to pay each and every one of them, and I had to pay each and every one of them a copay. Even though my insurance covered well, I still had to pay a copay because they were going to make their money. And then my son this morning tells me, "Dad, my tooth's just hurting too bad." He had a problem with a tooth, and we had already got it x-rayed. The problem was that the dentist was out of network, and it was an ungodly amount of money they wanted. Well, to me, they wanted $1,200 to pull a frickin' tooth. To pull a tooth, that was it. I said, I'm not giving you $1,200. So I found out where my son's dental insurance, where there was a provider, and we got him in. And I told the provider before I got there, I said, look, I already have x-rays of him. He needs the tooth extracted. It's a molar, so who knows what all it's gonna need. But I'm just letting you know that in advance. But he needs some help now. If you can't get him in, whatever, that's fine. I'll go somewhere else because I need to get him taken care of as soon as possible. Oh no, bring him on in. We need your insurance information first, though. So I give him all my insurance information. Then when I get there, they invite him back, and in the middle, and I'm not exaggerating, in the middle of whatever they were doing, they stopped. And the lady says, stop, I haven't received the copay yet. And I said, you never asked it. And she said, well, it's $65. And she pulled my son off the chair, and I'm not kidding you. So I give the lady $65, and I just threw it on the table, $70. I was just pissed, just irritated. And she took my money, and she says, okay. And so the other lady takes her back, does the x-ray and whatnot. And then she tells us, well, because it needs pulled, because it is going to need pulled, and some of the teeth what tooth could break into pieces and whatnot, we're gonna send you to an orthopedic surgeon. And I said, well, wait a minute. I told you the situation. I knew this already. I already knew that. We heard that from the last dentist. Oh, well, that's our recommendation. I said, I didn't need your recommendation. I needed you to do something. Never mind. Forget it. I knew what was going to happen. So I call the orthopedics. Call a couple of them. Finally find one that we're going to go with. And the lady says, well, as soon as we can get him in is the 10th. That was the quickest of all of them we could get into. And the other one had prescribed us antibiotics to keep his tooth okay or healing up well before we get the work done, right? And the lady says, we can get you in on the 10th, but that's just for the consultation. I said, that's just for the consultation, even though you already know what this dentist told you, right? So I'm going to have to pay that copay, and then I'm going to have to go back again and pay another copay. Or am I right? Or tell me if I'm wrong here. Correct me. She said, no, that's probably the way it's going to happen. I said, why can't you just charge me for 2 and get the damn thing over with? It's not that complicated. Well, you know why. They're going to cover their ass, CYA, because of the attorneys and things that have happened in the past and whatever. Anyway, if you look at this COVID thing, they still try to make you feel guilty if you don't go get the shot. Why? You can still pass it on. You can be totally vaccinated and give it to somebody else. What's the difference? I don't know. If you could shed some light on me, go ahead. If you want to tell me that for me it'll be better if I get the shot because I'll have the disease less amount of time or it'll affect me less, I get that, if that's what I want. But I'm in good health. I don't have any health issues, no underlying things that I know of. So I'd rather take the chance than stick something in my body that I'm not familiar with. Now, has there been stuff stuck in my body when I was a little kid? Yeah, I got the little scars from it and stuff. But I was a little kid. I'm a grown man now. And I'm not talking about the rights of our country. I'm not talking about the freedom we have. I'm talking about my rights as a human being to choose to do what I want to do. The rights God gave us, all of us. Okay? That's just one example. What about religion? I was raised, as most of you know, as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. 43 years of my life I did that. I lived that lifestyle. And I was staunch. And I thought I would never, ever change anything. I thought I knew everything. But there was a period of time after I left Cheyenne that I was I was busy with work and just trying to get situated so I could get my family down here and then ultimately try and save my family, which didn't work. That I didn't have time to go to meetings. And they hammer that on you, that you got to go to meetings, you got to be there all the time. The devil will creep in and he'll do this and that to you. Well, I think the devil creeped out in my case, and he gave me time to think. Because I got to look at things and I got to research things, and I found some things out that I did not like. And things that I know that the men at the top, the organization, have to know. Because they're privy to the greatest libraries in the world. I mean, they've had them. The rest of us haven't, until now that we have the internet. And yet they still tell their followers not to look into anything on their own. And you can't answer anything on your own. We used to have a Bible study, but if on a regular basis, 2 or 3 times a week, and you could answer, but you couldn't answer what you felt. You had to answer from one of the publications. And if you answered away from that, the elders would approach you after the meeting, and they'd say, where did you get that information? How did you come up with that comment? Because they don't want you to get away from what they're telling you. They don't want you to think for yourself. I had an aunt tell me one time, she said, Joseph, how could you think like that? And I said, what are you talking about? Because I told her I found out that the name Jehovah was not really God's name, and I found out that it was given by a 13th century monk that used part of the Tetragrammaton and part of the Old Hebrew, and actually the name was pretty disgusting meaning in the Old Hebrew. And she said, "How could you think like that?" And I said, "What do you mean? It's just facts. It's history. It's in the books." And she says, "No, I mean you're thinking for yourself. We're not to think for ourselves." And I said, "Tia, do you hear what you're saying? Do you really hear what you're saying?" And it took me back to a time that I've mentioned before when I was in high school. And I had a best friend, smartest guy you'd ever want to meet. I mean, just smart as a whip. And he used to tell me, because as a class, our whole class, teachers were there, they would be giving us instruction, we'd take for granted what they said was true. And he always challenged him, and he beat him most of the time. When he challenged him, it was because he knew what was right. And you could see the look on those teachers' faces when they knew they were being challenged and they knew they were wrong, or they thought they weren't sure on something, and more than likely he was going to be right. And he taught me, you know what? Question things for yourself. Prove it to yourself. And the reality of it is, even in Christianity, or Christianity is the only one I can really speak on because that's what I'm familiar with. We are told to test the inspired expressions. Yet people don't. They don't test anything. They just take for granted, oh, this is what I was told, I feel good about it. I mean, and I mentioned this in other talks, the word amen and what it actually means. Jehovah. I can go back to a lot of different things and what they actually mean, and most people don't know. They don't check into it. They don't look into it. What about politics? What about politics? You know, Donald Trump is one person I've not stayed away from. I'm not afraid of it, to the topic. I can't stand the man. I've said it over and over. I just do not like him. I think he's for a human being to me. But I've also said I don't think everything he did was stupid. I don't think everything he did was wrong. I think he did do some good things. But man, you can't even bring that up because the left will go ape. Oh, now you're turning into a Donald Trump. If I say something bad about Trump, the right goes ape. Oh, now you're saying, and I mean, I've had it. I've been attacked from both sides. But it's because I honestly think for myself. I can look at a given situation and decide for myself, not based on peer pressure, not based on what somebody else thinks. And sometimes there's been things that have taken me a while, like this whole vaccine thing, to come to my own conclusion. Because when it first came out, I thought, you know what, I'm not a scientist. These guys are right. They know better than I do. And then I got to really listening, really paying attention, really thinking about things. And I'm like, yeah, not so much. I'm gonna wait just a little bit. Do I have anything against anybody that decides to take the vaccine? No, I don't have anything against them. I wish them the best. I hope things go well for them. I hope they're right. But I don't have anything against somebody that doesn't want to take it either, because I understand that point or that position, because that's the position I take. And it's based on what I know and what I've seen and what I know to be factual. And when I've challenged people to prove something different, they can't. They just think that it's morally wrong for me to think that way. I've been accused of wanting to hurt my neighbor, and how hard is it? Just go get the shot. Man, anybody that knows me knows I fear nothing except the Most High. And I don't know everything about him. And I challenge him because he created me that way. Supposedly, according to the scriptures, we are created in God's image. So is it wrong to challenge God? Is it wrong to say what you think about what he does, or what we perceive that he's done to us or for us? I don't think so. If you had the thought, you were created to think that way, why not? I don't get it. But anyway, my point today was, do you think for yourself? And if you do, are you really thinking for yourself? Are you thinking from things that were passed on to you through generations? Racial things. That's another thing. How many times have we been told something about another race from way back when? Maybe your parents said something to your grandparents or whatever. They made a generality about somebody or some race, and it stuck with us. And how long did it take you to really bury it, to really look back and say, man, that's just wrong? Man, can't even believe that even crossed my mind. I can't believe. And then you went back to where it got started, and you remember somebody from your family or somebody that you trusted or loved or thought was a great person said something stupid or that was ignorant, and you believed it. But as you've gotten older, you've been able to analyze it yourself and decide for yourself, hey, that was wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. I'd never do that again. Anyway, my question to you is, do you challenge things? Do you question them? Or do you just take what everybody says for gospel truth and believe that? I know for myself, I don't. I don't take anything for gospel truth. I don't care what it is. In fact, I proved that not too long ago when I was working on that BMW. It was supposed to be a long, drawn-out job. It was supposed to cost like $1,100 and take, I can't remember how many hours to get the dang thing done, to change the starter. It's only 2 bolts, but they're in an ugly spot that you really can't get to. I did it. It didn't take me, it wasn't real fast, and it was painful, and I scratched myself and cut myself all up, but I got it done because I challenged what people thought. And you know why? I saw a guy on YouTube that did it. He said he did it, and as I was getting in there, I thought, that guy's full of crap. And I thought, nope, if he did it, I can do it. I challenged myself. Do you challenge yourself? Do you challenge your long-held beliefs? I know a lot of times people will say, well, this is just who I am. This is who I've always been. This is me. Really? You don't believe you're capable of changing? I believe Muhammad Ali said, if you show me a man that's 50 that thought like he was when he was 30, I'll show you a man that's wasted 20 years, hasn't learned a thing. And that's true. And that goes for women or whoever. The point is, you should think for yourself. And is it wrong? And if you're wrong, admit you're wrong. Big deal. We all make mistakes. We can move on from our mistakes. We can correct them. But to not change and stay rigid, you don't grow, and you're not going to help anybody else grow. That's why when I hear people say use labels on other people, I know they're not growing. I know they're not thinking. When they say, oh, all liberals are this way, or all conservatives are this way, or all black people are this way, or all Mexicans are this way, or all white people are this way, whatever term they use. When they're doing that, I know they're not thinking. I know that they're closed-minded. They've shut that area of their mind off to think. Have I done that in the past? Yeah, I've done that. I've labeled people. You can't do that. You got to look at each situation for what it is. And it's the same thing with this vaccine. Did polio help? Yeah. Did rubella? Did mumps? Did measles? Did all those things? Yeah, apparently they did, because we don't have a big issue with them anymore. But this is something different. This is completely different. Different animal. And as we've seen in just the short time that it's been here, we've seen that it's not the same. It's a different ball game. Anyway, with that, I want you to think about that. Just really think about whether or not you think for yourself. If you think from the past, if you think from the present, what influences your thought process? Is it really fact? Is it really reality? Is it your emotion? What is it? Anyway, remember, the name of my channel is Think. I'm wanting you to think. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not trying to change your religious beliefs or your political beliefs. I just want you to think. Anyway, with that, you have a great day. And remember, nothing good is easy. Nothing easy is good. If it's worth having, it's worth working hard for. And that goes with your thought process. With that, you have a great day, and we'll talk.